In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the slithering, slimy Sssqeeze. He's part of the Snake Men, and he's here to trap warriors in a slithering hold. He's the evil, long-armed Viper. Well, he's definitely not slithering. He does have legs, but you can understand what they mean. He's a really cool figure. I do not have the vintage Masters of the Universe Sssqeeze, so I'm really excited to get him in the Origins version of him. He's really cool, and if we look at the back, you can see the artwork on the back of the card. Sssqeeze constricts his victims out of their last breath with his enormous elongated arms. He's a strange character to me. I never really thought that he was that great. I see him, the vintage ones, often at toy shows. So getting this version of him, I was okay as spending. I think I spent $32 for him Canadian on Amazon. They do have the rest of these figures in stock. They do have the Snake Men Infiltrator and the Serpent Claw Man-at-Arms and Spikor, I believe I saw also. I'm not really interested in these two. They were tempting. I almost bought them, but they're just repaints of figures I already have, and I just thought that Sssqeeze was the one that would be the perfect one to have in the collection since I don't have the original one. And it says he can tie up to 3 warriors at the same time and attach the pet snake to his arm. So that's really neat. Let's get this thing open and check him out. So I did get a question from a subscriber recently, and they said, how do you get the bubbles off the card so clean? And there's a couple ways you can do it. I get a really sharp knife. I just use this knife. Sometimes I'll use an X-Acto knife, which is a little sharper than this, and I just cut it really close to the card like this. Now, the nice thing about that is you keep all the artwork pretty much, unless you make a mistake and cut into the card. But if you do it nice and clean, it is easy to also cut the comic if you care about that. I just did it there, so you have to be careful cutting that, and then you just, and what that does is it allows you to cut this and not have any tear out on the card. Nice and clean, just like that. And if you don't like having the plastic on the card and you want to eliminate the plastic from the bubble that's still on there, it doesn't bother me any, but if you want to do that, you can take some lighter fluid, like Zippo lighter fluid, and go along this edge here and let the lighter fluid seep underneath this glued edge here, and eventually it will pull up with a lot of time and effort, and then you have a nice clean card. Too time consuming for me because, well, I just keep these for reference, really. And I do like the artwork on some of these and on the classified figures that I've been buying. I keep the box. So we do have a comic here. We can take a look at that. The Fading Fortress. And we have the dialogue in here, which is amazing. I've never actually gotten a Masters of the Universe Origins figure with the comic with the words in it unless it was from a toy seller at a toy show who more than likely bought it in the US. So this is an international carded figure, I think. Quickly looking at this card, I notice that there is no French on it. So this must be a US card. So maybe they're just not doing the international ones in Canada anymore. I don't know because I haven't seen them in the stores for quite a long time. And I've been buying them on the secondary market or on Amazon when I see them. And I told myself I would never buy on Amazon these figures again because, well, the last couple times I bought figures, they were either incomplete in the box, somebody took the parts out, or the packaging was so bad that I couldn't keep them in the collection. So there is the comic. That's really cool. I like that. And now I can read it. I didn't read it just now, but I'm going to read it later on and maybe learn some of the story because I don't know any of the storylines to most of these comics. So, taking a look at this figure, the thing that does not appeal to me too much about this design is the length of his arms. And I know that's the reason for him, but he's just, you put him on the shelf, you're gonna have to display him. Well, I'm gonna have to display him holding at least three guys. Maybe it's a good thing he can hold them on the shelf, and so they don't all fall over, so they can all huddle together. So I do like the color, and I like the design of him. Other than how long the arms are, we do have articulation at the wrists. They move around and back and forth. We have articulation at the boot and the knees. The legs go out about this far. We've got the waist. We've got arm articulation. Oh, his body came off. These are customizable, so I'm sure all you guys know that by now. The arms do rotate, but there doesn't seem to be any up and down motion with these. We've got some good head articulation. We've got the snake on his purple armor here on his chest. We've got some orange and gray on his upper legs and on his boots. We turn it around. Pretty minimal. And I really do like the texture of his arms. He's very scaly looking. And of course he's a snake man, so I don't know what kind of, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be some kind of snake, but he looks to me like a lizard, if you ask me. He's more of a lizard than a snake, so, but he is in this Snake Man team. I guess they do kind of stay in position, I guess, if you want him to reach out to the side, but the arms are coming out. The body is coming apart really easily. A little bit more easily than I would like to see. He can reach pretty high out of the camera. Can reach pretty far over. So there must be some kind of wire inside that allows his arms to stay somewhat in position when you change them. So taking a look at his pet snake, it is in a nice deep purple. It's a little lighter than his armor, and you'll notice that there is a machine gun that's protruding out of its mouth, so that's pretty cool. On the card, if you look here, you'll notice that the snake is on both arms, but you'll notice also that it's in a different position. Fitting the snake onto the arms, they go on both arms like we saw on the card. This one here fits on the right arm like this. And we can fit it on the left arm just on the opposite side, so it goes around and then comes on the inside, and he fits on there quite well. And with the help of his arm on the ground, he will hold the pet snake up in the air and his arm will stay up. So that's pretty impressive, I think. The joints, even though the arms keep popping out, they're actually tight enough to do this. So yeah, his hands do come out. I was wondering about that. I didn't want to do it unless I found out first. His arms come out, we know that. His waist comes out, we've seen that. His boots come out, and you can take his head off too. So you could use just his body as a customization of some sort. It's too bad that his upper armor is not detachable. That would be nice. That way, if you wanted to customize him, then his armor wouldn't have the snake on it, and you can use him for any figure instead of just a Snake Man figure, because he's got the icon there. So that would be cool, but for me, it's not a big deal. He's so top heavy. He doesn't stand very well. If you put his arms, I guess, out like this. And I'm not really complaining, actually. I'm just telling you guys everything that I notice about the figure. And there we go. With a little bit of effort, you can get him to stand with his arms stretched out. You definitely couldn't put the arms in front of him without him falling over or without some kind of figure stand. And I think the idea is for him to be displayed hugging a whole bunch of characters. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get some Masters of the Universe figures here and get him to give them a big squeeze. Now he can squeeze one enemy pretty easy. He can also squeeze two enemies with no problem. And with little effort, he can also squeeze three enemies. He's also capable of squeezing other figures, larger figures than the Origins and the original Masters of the Universe figures from other toy lines. He can also hug his companions, and I don't have a lot of He-Man classic figures, but here's one I just had to pick up. He's really big compared to the Origins and the original ones, but I just think he's really cool. And having him in the collection as one of my only classics, he looks humongous. So after playing with this figure and reviewing him, that's why I really like reviewing figures, because it's really fun to get an opportunity to connect with these toys and see if I really like them or not. And actually, tell you the truth, I wasn't sold on this figure. I just thought he looked cool, but I thought his arms at the beginning of this review was like ridiculous. But now that I've had an opportunity to fool around with him a little bit and really take a deep dive look at what this figure can do, I think he's really fun. And I'm definitely going to display him holding on to three of the enemy figures because he can do that quite easily, and I think he's going to look great in the collection. So thanks for watching this episode of Toysbackzen. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have, I thank you for your support. Please leave a comment down below and let me know if you have this figure. Do you have the vintage one? And what do you think of him? Is he just kind of a whatever figure, or is he really fun to display on the shelf? I think he's going to look great in my collection. So thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.